And, all right. Okay. So there's a lot of things you need to factor in whenever you're going to look at doing a peptide routine or, any hormonal change, any hormone stuff. There's a lot of things you got to factor in, to make sure that everybody's safe and whatnot. Diabetes is definitely one of those things. I don't look at diabetes as a disease. I know that lots of people do, and if you do, that's fine. That's how you look at it. I look at it as a metabolic state. It's like being drunk. If you're drunk and you keep drinking vodka, you're going to stay drunk. If you stop drinking vodka, you're going to not be drunk anymore. When we start looking at diabetes, basically what it is, it's metabolic dysfunction. It's, your body's not handling insulin and glucagon and sugars properly anymore, and so everything's kind of all sideways. There are, we can talk about semaglutide, we can talk about tirzepatide as actual, I think, treatments and cures for these, because these are FDA approved for it. And they do work, and they're fantastic, and I'm not trying to knock them at all, but the new ones that are not FDA approved for anything yet, retatrutide, is substantially different in the way that it affects insulin glucagon levels and thus diabetes. So what Reta will actually do is it helps the body to utilize glucagon again, and it starts resetting that insulin glucagon level. It has the liver start burning fat. You start utilizing glycogen again as a fuel source, and it goes through the process of gluconeogenesis. Basically, it makes the liver start doing energy regulation, energy metabolism again, the way it's supposed to. And what ends up happening is it helps to decrease a lot of visceral fat, decrease a significant amount of inflammation. That allows the body to start dropping the level of chronic or systemic or fasting insulin levels down. It helps your body become more insulin sensitive. And so over time, and when I say over time, we're talking months, not years, it can help to reset the metabolic state in your body. So your body is utilizing fat as a primary fuel source, and it kind of gives the sugar break, the sugar system, the glycolysis, a break, if you will. It allows the body to heal, regenerate, and repair those things. And so we start slowly changing the state from a highly leaky, very inefficient glucose derived metabolic function to a more lipolytic or fat-based system. And that allows the body to reset its metabolic function and change the processes and change the state that it's in. When it does that, your fasting insulin starts to drop. You become more insulin sensitive. Your fasting glucose levels start to drop. And then what ends up happening is that those things start to kind of come back into line with what we would consider normal and healthy. At that point, you're no longer diabetic. But again, if you look at it from a disease, then it's something that like, well, your body broke. No, your body isn't doing what metabolic function is designed to do until it reset. So yeah, the reason that we're seeing such phenomenal results with diabetics when we're using, GLP-1s and GLP-3s is because of the activation of glucagon. And so that would be one of the number one things that you'd want to look at if you're running semaglutide, tirzepatide, or if you're running retatrutide for either fat loss or if you're looking to fix your diabetes, which again, FDA clearance-wise, semaglutide and tirzepatide are okay for that. Reta is not yet, but I can't wait for it to be, because it's going to be fun to talk about. It'll make Ozempic and tirzepatide basically go away. No one's going to use it anymore because this is such a phenomenally better tool. But what we've seen a lot of times is we're resetting metabolic function. We've seen fasting insulin in the 30s, which is highly insulin resistant, drop back down into the low mid-teens within 3 or 4 months, and then back down in under 10 in 2 or 3 months after that. So you're looking at 5 to 7 months. The metabolic system has reset, and the fasting insulin has dropped. The visceral fat has come off. The liver function has radically increased as far as glucagon insulin ratio goes, and things start to kind of settle out. So at that point, metabolically, you're no longer diabetic. Just kind of like if you quit drinking vodka, you're no longer drunk. So it's not that you've fixed something, you've just changed the metabolic function of how the body's running. This is kind of one of those things where I like to get back into, like, this is not a calories thing, but this is a hormonal shift. And so if you have somebody who's type 2 diabetic, you don't have to be type 2 diabetic anymore. Like, this is one of those things where I would highly recommend that you get with somebody and knock these things out. So I was talking to somebody the other day, he's 45. He's got a 40% occlusion. We did a CT angiogram and found out they had a 40% occlusion to an artery in his heart. And his cholesterol is probably 30 points higher than it's supposed to be. But his fasting insulin, when we first checked it, was 19. He had 20 pounds of visceral fat. He had sleep apnea, and he was significantly insulin resistant. So I will tell you that the insulin resistance, the visceral fat, the inflammation that is held in that position is wildly more dangerous than the cholesterol is. And I think if you look at the cholesterol studies, you find out that that's kind of where we're going, is that cholesterol isn't really the biggest issue. It's just that when the cholesterol in the blood vessels get damaged, then they plaque, and that creates a problem. We need to figure out what's damaging them. And one of those big things is insulin resistance. And that's one of those things we see that is also a tie to diabetes. You can be insulin resistant and not diabetic. These are not the same thing. But when we look at the ways that we can start winding back insulin resistance, the GLP-1s and the GLP-3s like Retta are amazing at that. So these, they're weight loss tools, and losing fat is really important from a health standpoint, especially visceral fat. It's critical that we get that stuff off. Again, not from a vanity, but from a health standpoint, as far as heart attacks and strokes and stuff like that go. But what's really, really fun is watching these 20-year diabetics or 30-year diabetics, 6-7 months in, we've changed their metabolic state. And so they're no longer classified as diabetic. But the reason why that's so much fun is because not just you don't have to do your diabetic stuff anymore, but it's, your heart attack risk, your stroke risk, your cancer risk, your energy, your metabolism, like everything is better when you're no longer diabetic, when you have insulin sensitivity, when you have insulin functionality. We see as the insulin resistance issues go away, we start seeing things like endometriosis and PCOS and like bad PMS and stuff like that really start to calm down. We see mood issues kind of calm down as well. So those are some of the things that we're starting to see. So if you are a type 2 diabetic, get with somebody who knows what they're doing on these things, and I would titrate in and figure out how to run it. I am personally not a fan of, hey, everyone we see, we give the same dose to. And so everyone starts here and everyone goes up to here, and this is the schedule that everybody gets, whether it's retatrutide, whether it's semaglutide or whatever. I'm a bigger fan of individually dosing it. So you start off, to do a daily dose, you can figure out where you fit in there. And one of the reasons for that is, great example, I have a buddy of mine who's 6'4", 240, big guy. His wife is like 5'5", 5'6", 135. He's using 7 units. She's using 15. So if we gave them both the same dose, she would be at or underdosed and he would be way overdosed. And that's where all of these problems come in. The other issue we get into is that if you are using one of these GLP-1s or GLP-3s at a high functional level, you need to recognize that you have to do other things. We've got to get in protein. We have to get in testosterone or growth hormone, because we have to have some hormone telling the body to heal, regenerate, and repair the muscle tissue. We have to do some type of even light functional exercise to keep the muscle tissue functional. And we need to make sure the body has minerals and B vitamins and something to increase bile flow, or else you're going to have side effects. You're going to have issues. So if you are a type 2 diabetic, I would 100% tell you, like, run out and grab whoever is doing this stuff in your area that knows what they're doing, and fix your metabolic system. Once your metabolic system is fixed, that will allow your body to no longer be diabetic. So I would highly recommend that you guys do that, because diabetes is one of the number one preventable things that does all sorts of horrible, terrible things to the rest of your body. And the other thing is that it's not, if you need to lose 30 pounds, you're going to look better. No one's going to argue that, but it's not vanity. Your knees, your ankles, your hips, your low back, all those things are going to get messed up. The longer you carry this 30, 40 extra pounds of weight or 20 pounds of extra weight, the more damage you're doing to your joints, the more damage you're doing to your metabolic system. So you need to go ahead and get this stuff off. Now, obviously, you got to change your diet and your exercise and all those fun things. You can do that while you're doing the peptides. But at the same time, even for those of you who are like, I'm not going to change my diet, my exercise, then take the peptides, drop that weight, change your metabolic system, and it'll be better for you long-term regardless. Now, you're probably never going to be able to get off the peptides, but you will be healthier if you were on them because of the difference in the metabolic state that you will be in. So if you guys have any questions about that, drop them in the comments or hit us up. But this is a big, big deal. I would tell every type 2 diabetic to start working on not being type 2 diabetic anymore. The peptides are phenomenal at rechanging your metabolic system. Your metabolic system change will initiate the diabetes change in diagnosis. So it's not going to end your diabetes, but it will fix your metabolic function. Have a fantastic day.